Hello everyone, and welcome back to another True Crime Mysteries video. Thank you all for being here. Today we're discussing the Torso Killer, a prolific serial killer who was recently confessed to several additional murders, closing a slew of cold cases from the New Jersey area in the 1960s to 1980s. Let's get into it. On May 22, 1980, police were called to the Quality Inn Motel in Hasbrook Heights after a housekeeper reported hearing screams coming from room 117. When police arrived, they apprehended and arrested a man fleeing the motel. He was carrying a fake gun, a switchblade in his pocket, and a bag that had several pairs of handcuffs, prescription pills, a ball gag, and other bondage items. When they got to the room, they found a young woman handcuffed around the ankles, bitten, bruised, and bleeding. The man was Richard Cottingham, 33 years old at the time of his arrest. He was charged with kidnapping, attempted murder, aggravated assault with a deadly weapon, aggravated sexual assault while armed, possession of a weapon, and possession of controlled substances. He had a $350,000 bail set, and he never made bail. The young woman was revealed to be Leslie Ann O'Dell. She was an 18-year-old runaway who had been working as a sex worker in Manhattan a few days before Cottingham had picked her up and taken her to New Jersey. She was tortured and sexually assaulted, and she started screaming when she thought her life was about to end. She would later testify that he, quote, said, "You have to take it. The other girls did. You have to too. You're a whore and you have to be punished." After his arrest, police went to the home he rented in Lodi, New Jersey, which he shared with his wife and 3 children. There they found a room he locked from his family. In this room was jewelry and clothing from several women. Other items were also found in his car. Authorities started to take a look at Cottingham for other crimes. Richard Cottingham was born November 25, 1946 in the Bronx, New York. His family later moved to New Jersey. He graduated high school from Pascagoula Valley High School in Hillsdale, New Jersey. After graduation, he worked at Metropolitan Life. He started in the mailroom, but after taking some computer courses, he became a computer operator. In 1966, he left that job to become a computer operator for Blue Cross Blue Shield Association. He was still working there when he was arrested in 1980. He lived with his parents until they moved away and he got married. He was known to be seen helping his mother around the house. On May 3, 1970, he married his wife Janet and they had 3 children together. In 1978, his wife filed for divorce. In the divorce records, his wife alleged that he had started leaving the family without the necessary funds for essentials, that he would come home in the early hours of the morning. He was known to frequent a swingers club in New York called Pluto's Retreat. She removed the petition for divorce when he was arrested in 1980, but they did get divorced after his 1981 conviction. During the investigation, they were able to tie Cottingham to a murder that had occurred in the same motel on May 5, 1980, 17 days before he was arrested. The victim, Valere Street, was a 19-year-old sex worker who was found under the bed by housekeeping in one of the motel rooms. She'd been naked, handcuffed behind her back. Valere had been strangled to death. They found a fingerprint on the handcuff that was matched to Cottingham. This would start authorities down the path of discovering a serial killer. In the next few months, other authorities, as well as New Jersey police, would tie Cottingham to some horrific crimes. In the months following his arrest, he would be tied to another murder that occurred at the Quality Inn Motel in Hasbrook Heights. On December 15, 1977, 26-year-old Mary Ann Carr, an X-ray technician who had just celebrated her first wedding anniversary a few months earlier, was found by a fence in the parking lot outside the motel. She was found with a ligature still around her neck, with evidence she had been restrained with what might have been handcuffs and had tape residue over her mouth. She had small cuts and bite marks all over her body. She had last been seen at her apartment in Little Ferry, New Jersey, an apartment complex that Cottingham had lived in a few years earlier with his wife. Her apartment key was found in the lockbox of trophies found in Cottingham's home. In New York, he would be charged with the murders of 3 sex workers at 2 different crime scenes. On December 2, 1979, firefighters were called to a Travel Inn hotel near Times Square with reports of a room being on fire. When they arrived, they discovered 2 bodies in the rubble. When the blaze had been extinguished, they discovered 2 bodies that had been set on fire. Their hands and heads had been removed and were never recovered. After the fire had been put out, authorities found some of the women's clothes folded neatly in the bathtub. They had used these clothes and put them on mannequins from a nearby department store, so they could hopefully use them to identify the women from the fire. They would eventually identify one of the victims as 22-year-old Didi Gudazi. The other victim, believed to be around the age of 16, has never been identified. This killer was given the moniker the Torso Killer. On May 15, 1980, the body of 25-year-old Jean Rayner was found in New York's Seville Hotel. Her breasts were removed and put on the headboard, and the mattress was set on fire. Jean was working as a sex worker at the time to pay for a lengthy child custody battle with her ex-husband. For a time before DNA evidence, Cottingham seemed to be very thorough in cleaning crime scenes, leaving little to no evidence of himself. On June 12, 1981, Cottingham was convicted in New Jersey for the murder of Valere Street. In that same court case, he was charged with the kidnapping and sexual assault of 4 other women. All had survived various attacks. They even testified at the trial. This included the attack on Leslie Ann Odell. He'd been convicted of 3 and acquitted of 1. On October 12, 1982, he was convicted in the murder of Marianne Carr. In 1984, New York authorities extradited him for a trial where he was convicted on July 9, 1984, for the murders of Didi Gudazi and the unknown victim and Jean Rayner. He would serve his nearly 200-year sentence in New Jersey State Prison. Over the next 3 decades, detectives would visit Cottingham often, asking him about unsolved cold cases and always leaving out critical details of the crimes from Cottingham. In 2010, their persistence would finally pay off. One of the detectives was Detective Robert Ancelotti, who interviewed Cottingham over and over for 15 years. He would eventually get confessions that would lead to the closing of several cases. Cottingham never seemed to know the names of his victims, but remembered details of the crimes. In August 2010, Cottingham confessed and was convicted of the murder of Nancy Vogel. In his confession, he gave details only the murderer would know. Nancy Vogel was 29 years old and was killed on October 28, 1967. She was found in her car, naked with her hands tied in front of her, with her clothes neatly folded underneath her. She'd been beaten, strangled, and sexually assaulted. Her husband had reported her missing after she did not come home. She had told her husband that she was going to go play bingo at the church in Little Ferry, New Jersey. Nancy is Cottingham's first known victim. He would have only been 20 when she was killed, and he was still living with his parents at the time. In 2014, Cottingham confessed to Ancelotti 2 more murders he committed, again giving details only the killer would know.
Mr. McClure? You got it?
So explain to me. Just describe it for me again. All right. So
We're
talking about those. When I drove you up there last time, did anything look familiar?
No. It's altogether different.
Yeah, I knew it would be.
It was all farmland there. Let me see. When we drove up the last time, I always went...
So start from where you're talking.
Let me do it my way.
Hold on, just so I get it clear. The street that the ice rink was on.
Let me explain to you. This way you know everything I know about this.
Okay.
Every time I went there, I came up the street going to that street. Here's the street going to the ice rink.
Okay.
This...
Was the Garden State Parkway there yet? Or not even built yet?
I don't know if it was built or not, but I didn't know where... I never seen the Garden State Parkway.
Okay.
I used to always come the same way up through Rivervale, right up Rivervale Road, and then I'd wind up coming down this road here. This was the field, the cornfield, that I always... The well is back here. This time I came, and it looked kind of wet and everything, so I used to just drive right off the road, drive back in, and turn the car around and face this way. So I always knew, even if a cop car came by and seen me from here, by the time he got back here, I was gone into the woods. So I never brought my car there. So this time, I went up to here, and I went around this way. And my intention was to see if this was drier. And then, now on the other side, just like this, right from here, that was all swamp or woods, whatever. So this time I went, now the three houses I'm talking about are here, here, and here. And when I went in about 40 or 50 feet, the car stopped. I got stuck in the mud. Mm-hmm. So we stayed there about 10, 15 minutes. I was talking, I was trying to decide what to do. The cop car came up this way. And then he went by, and then I seen him back up. So I knew he spotted the car in there. So I got out of the car with her, and I ran into the woods. I didn't even know where I was going. Now there was dogs in his house started barking, either from me or the cop car or whatever. So that's what dread. So now I said, let me go over that way. So I stopped here, and she started screaming. She heard the cop car, and she's screaming. The cops were up there, they couldn't see where the screaming was coming from, but they were by the empty car. But we were now 40 or 50 feet into the woods.
And the empty car is the victim's car?
Right.
It's her car?
Right. Her car was right around here. We're back about here. I could see the cops because they had flashlights and everything, but they couldn't see me, but they could hear her screaming. So I panicked, and I stabbed her. Or I tried to shut her up. And then I took off, and I ran behind this house, and between these two houses, because the dogs were barking from this house, and I came back across here. Now the cops were out here, flashlights then. I ran right, they didn't see me. And I ran this way, so they're thinking I'm still running into the woods. I came back the other way. And when I ran from that second house, ran, I would say, straight line, maybe it's, a little curved or anything, I almost fell over the well.
Okay.
So if you get the address of this house,
it's directly opposite.
It's directly out from the end of the house, it's almost directly opposite, and I would say 150 to 175 yards in. You'd have it there. Now it looked like there's a whole new housing development there.
All right, and let me just back. This street here, that's the street that it's the Montvale ice skating rink that used to be on that street.
Down here further.
All right, so that's down here for. But you're sure you weren't over the New York line yet? No, because my uncle lives up the other way. Remember I took you up the road? Like Upper Saddle River or something he lives in?
Well, that is Upper Saddle River.
But if you kept going this way, Rockland County is right here. Right. But you're sure that the ice rink is here, but you were still in Montvale?
Oh, yeah. This whole area was my killing ground, if you want to call it that. So I knew the area. And then when I ran, like I said, I almost tripped over, had a big piece of corrugated metal over it. And then I ran out here, and I got back on this road. I ran over through the woods and everything, behind some other houses here, and I ran on this road. And that's how, and I walked all the way back to Westwood. That's why I know if you find out where that girl, where they write up the girl, then you get land records, you'll know the exact, right to the inch where this second house was.
Right.
Because the houses aren't there no more. Because we went by, there was no houses there, I don't think. If I would have seen 3 houses, I would have said, yeah, this is it.
Well, there might be 3 houses, but there might be 100 next to them now.
They were old farmhouses.
Okay. Yeah, it's not
the same. If you get a report to that, and they...
So, let me backtrack a minute. So, just for the girl so, you're positive you abducted that girl from the Bergen Mall? That's the mall that you kept...
Well, I can't say that.
Okay.
It was either that... I'm 90% sure it was the Bergen Mall, but it could have been the Garden State Mall.
Okay. But it's one of the malls...
Oh, one of those two.
Okay.
Guaranteed 100%. It was about, it was dark. I would say it was probably about 6:30, 6 o'clock, 6:30.
And give me just approximate year. When did you move to Lodi?
Moved from Lodi?
No, to Lodi. So at this point, did you still live in Rivervale?
No, I used to live in Little Ferry.
Oh, right, okay.
I used to live in Little Ferry from 1970 to like 73, I think.
Okay.
And then I moved to Lodi,
Prior to 70, where were you living?
Riverville.
Right, that's what I thought. So when this happened, though, were you living in Rivervale or Little
I
Ferry?
don't remember.
Okay, so then you think it had to be after 1970 then?
No, it definitely was, then it would have to be after 1970, the early 70s.
Okay.
Yeah, I never thought of it that way. No, but because what I did was, see, okay, there's a diner on Route 4. It was a pretty famous diner back then, and probably still there. Okay, which
The diner was near the Bergen Mall?
what I did was I parked my car. It's a 24-hour diner. That's where I parked my car. I've done this a couple of times. So my car would be, if I didn't come back for a day, there's always people coming and going. Then I would go in. The diner had a
Use the next thing here. It's not much of a diner at this point.
yes. Route 4. I wouldn't be surprised if the diner, there's Forest Avenue, go right down to Route 4.
Mm-hmm. There used to be a diner on the corner of Forest Avenue and Route 4.
Yeah, the building's still there, but it's not a diner.
And opposite that diner, if you go across the highway this way...
Was there a walkway?
Yeah.
Yes.
Goes over to the
Bergen Mall.
Right next.
Guaranteed Bergen Mall. Because that's what I did. I parked my car there and I walked across the thing into the mall. Then I walked around. Okay. The only thing I can say, I'm rock solid about this whole thing. 90% sure that's the intersection. I can't believe there's any other intersection. But when we drove...
Well, you just drew like a little street going this way. There is a particular street that's still there where this comes up. As you go across Chestnut Ridge Road, there's a 45-degree angle going this way, and then the street continues up this way, going into Upper Saddle River and Route 17, going towards Route 17.
Well,
but I don't know if it was like that back then.
I did this, that's the direction where my uncle lives. You know, it's at this intersection here, if I made a right turn, that's when we went down to where my uncle lived.
Okay.
About a mile down there. That's why I knew the area. That's why I'm 95%. That has to be the intersection.
Okay.
It's just that it looks so different now. I mean...
But you're positive this is off of Chestnut Ridge Road, or off of the street where the Montvale ice skating rink was on? The Montvale ice rink was on Chestnut Ridge Road.
Almost certain.
Okay.
You know, you're putting doubts in my head.
No, I don't want to.
I know you don't want it, but you know...
Being a guy from Rivervale, I would think you would know when you were in Montvale. That's why I just want to be sure.
No, not really.
Okay.
No, but like I said, I went to this place 20 times.
Mm-hmm.
But I always would come up here and then... See, I could only go during the winter. That's another thing. It had to be a cold month because during the summer this was all corn. You couldn't drive over.
Okay.
So in the winter it was all cut down. You know, I'm not saying it could have been fall, but I mean, it had to, not summer or anything when the corn was growing. And I always would come up and then just drive right across the field, turn around, and it's fine. You know, I might be over here one time here, but it was always usually within 50 feet. It was beautiful because I could command this whole view.
Mm-hmm.
And I could, you know, and there was no traffic. I mean, maybe a car would go by every 10 minutes. That's how little traffic was back then.
Mm-hmm.
It was all cornfield, all woods and cornfield. There was the only light was at this corner.
There was a traffic signal there?
There was a traffic signal. I think it used to just blink. I don't think it was a red and green. I think it was like a
flashing yellow.
like a flashing yellow or flashing red type thing.
Okay.
So they didn't have to actually come to a stop.
Go back so I can research this a little better. You mentioned you stabbed her. Do you know for sure? Like,
Yeah.
how many times you stabbed her or anything like that?
One time,
Okay.
right in the face.
Oh, it was definitely in the face.
Because she was screaming, I just kind of, at that point, I don't even know if she might have even been loose. I might have untied her, because we were in the car for about 10, 15 minutes before that, because I couldn't, I didn't know what to do. I couldn't back out, I couldn't go forward.
Right.
So I didn't know what to, I didn't want to hurt her head, that, I wouldn't have done that, so, and if the cop car didn't come by, I don't know what I would have done. In fact, I was thinking both of us get out and push the car. I can tell you, she was dressed, and she had a suit on. She had like a suit jacket, and a tie.
A tie?
Yeah, a tie.
About how old is she?
Early 20s, I would say.
Okay.
Dark hair.
You love dark hair. You...
The funny thing is, most of my victims don't, but I like blonde stuff.
So, alright, I have some things to work with on that. What kind of car? Any idea what kind of car it was?
I have no idea.
Okay.
It was a regular, it wasn't stick, that I know, but
Now, tell me about the well. How did you ever first find the well?
in the beginning, I wanted to find a place to drop the body. But see, I always like to drop them near the side of the street so I can be found easy. And most of them, you'll sign over the thing. Almost all mine were. But in the beginning, I didn't think that way. But then I figured, I didn't want these people rotting, So I got a little sentimental. I say, if you drop them near the street, somebody will find them in a day or two. But I walked, I might have just got out to take a leak or something. But I walked back. You could walk from this field. This field was all solid. There was no water, no wood, no swamp. But when you walk back in here, after you got about 40, 50 feet, it turned to swamp. Where there's actually water, you couldn't actually walk dry. And I was walking back there to see if I could find a place to, hide a body.
Were you by yourself when you first discovered it? Like you were just on like a scouting mission, or did you actually have a body in there that first time? Do you know?
I had a body.
Okay.
And I had the first time I seen it, I didn't know what it was. That's what it was. I walked on it, and it was tin. It was like a galvanized round type,
Like corrugated?
Yeah, it was like I'd say 8 foot long, 10 foot long, 5 foot wide.
So big.
It was a big piece. Because I walked on it, I realized it said ground no more. And it was like metal. But it was pitch black, I couldn't see what it was. I didn't have no flashlight, I never carried a flashlight or a light or anything. The next time I came back, I was earlier. It was only about 8 o'clock at night. It was still dark, but it was early, it was lighter, or the moon was out or something. So I went back to see what it was. And I seen it was a metal piece. So I moved it, and I couldn't see nothing. It was pitch black. So I dropped the rock. I went down, it sounded like 100 feet, but it went down about 20 feet, 15, 20 feet. And I seen the side, it was like a well. It looked like, but not brick, like stone or old cinder block or something, like an old-time cistern or something that somebody covered up so nobody would fall in. And then I said, hey, this is a good spot. Then I remember the 3 girls that dropped in there, and then I started thinking about them rotting there. I said, nah, that's why I started dropping them by the side of the streets.
So you only used that well for 3 bodies.
Just 3.
This would have been the 4th one, but she got away.
I don't know if I was going to put her in there. Because after those 3 were in there, I went back there many times, but I never put nobody else in there.
Okay.
So I don't know, it wasn't always planned. It was, just how things came out, I don't know if we would, if this wasn't, if this, it just looked different to me that time. I thought I might get stuck, that's why I went around the other way. I would have went back, I don't know if I would have dropped her in the well as the fourth one or not. But I brought quite a few others after that I didn't, after that 3 I never went back to that well.
But you would go back to this field?
Oh, then yeah.
And then you would just go dump the body somewhere else?
Right.
Okay. The three girls that are in the well, any ideas to help with those? Like, do you remember them at all?
No.
Where they came from, how they were killed, anything?
And I'm pretty sure. And one was a waitress. I remember she was a waitress.
From where?
I don't know. Local in the area, but I don't know where. I think she was young too, I think. I'm not sure. And the other girl could be a blonde from Atlantic City, but I'm not sure. That's what I say. I'm mixed up over. It just sometimes it was one after the other, and then sometimes for 6 months I didn't do it.
Mm-hmm. What would have made you bring a girl from Atlantic City all the way up here? Did you go down there?
Yeah, I was in Atlantic City.
What would have made you bring her all the way up here?
So that's where I brought them all. That's what I'm saying. Almost everyone was, not all of them,
right?
But almost everyone was.
So let's assume for a minute that you killed a girl in this field. Forget the well for a minute. You killed a girl in this field. What would you do then? You just take the dead body and put it in your car to go dump it somewhere?
Well, I would, if I was in her car, I would just go different places. I've gone up to New York State. I've driven from there all the way out to the end of Long Island.
How would you get back?
What?
How would you get back? If you
I would just drop the body and then come back with the car.
Okay.
And drop the car wherever. Sometimes it would be in my own car. But I never drove my own car across there. I was always afraid of getting stuck. I always knew if I got stuck, I could just run.
Right.
I never took my car in there. Like I said, a lot of times I would leave it in the 24-hour diner because it was beautiful. Car could stay there forever.
Right.
Nobody ever know. Nobody looked for it, and I always knew once I make it back to that diner, I'm okay. And that one on Route there had a big back parking lot. Had a little small one on the front facing the Route 4, but in the back was enormous, like 70, 80 cars could fit there. It was a good, nice diner. Good food in there. But I would always figure that's why nobody ever knew what was going on, because I would drive 3 hours out to Montauk, leave a body there. Next time I'd go there, well, down the turnpike until I couldn't go no further to travel, leave a body there. So there was never connected, never 2 or 3 until the very end where I started getting stupid.
Mm-hmm. What do you think, what year is the first, do you think? Do you have it in your head, or you have no idea?
Well, I can knock it down to 1 or 2 years.
What do you think? How far back?
67. 60, maybe the end of 66. 67.
It's a lot of years of running around.
A lot of states too.
Yeah.
They start to get jumbled. I would say it's well over 80.
You think that many?
Well over. I've done some in Florida, Connecticut, a lot in New York, Pennsylvania, New Jersey, Baltimore. Any place within driving distance that was not connected to me, I would try. My whole thing was not to make a pattern, which I never did. And never to try to kill them the exact same way, or to, leave a signature. I wasn't stupid, and other than that one time in Hackensack where just luck, I would have been caught there.
Right.
I was never even close to getting caught, other than that one time.
Where'd you end up dumping that girl after that cop stopped you?
I don't know. I don't remember. I don't even remember who she was, but I was coming back from Montreal at the time. And that's what it was at. I was coming down River Road. And I was during the day too. And I never really did anything during the day, but it was like 11 o'clock in the morning. So I can remember certain little facts about everything until I start thinking, then something might pop in. But a lot of runaways. See, a lot of the girls were hitchhikers, runaways.
There was a lot of hitchhikers back then too.
Oh, everybody hitchhiked. You know, every day going to work, I used to get more rides. Let's see, that was the thing with me. I wasn't a serial killer. No,
You just told me you think you killed over 80. That fits the definition pretty well.
No, it doesn't.
But I know what you said, because you've told me in the past. There's been many more that you let go.
Hundreds.
Yeah.
In other words, I didn't go out to kill somebody. Most anyone I killed was when I would be somehow connected to them, and I didn't want to get caught. It was more than just not getting caught.
First was 18-year-old Irene Blaze, who was found strangled in April 1969 in the Saddle River in Hackensack, New Jersey. She had vanished from her home. The second was 15-year-old Denise Velasca, who was abducted while walking to a friend's house in Emerson, New Jersey. She was found strangled on the side of the road near a cemetery in Saddlebrook, New Jersey. In 2017, he confessed to killing 13-year-old Jacqueline Harp in July 1968 while she was walking home at night after a band practice in Midland Park, New Jersey. She had been strangled with her bag. Though these were official confessions, they were never taken to trial, and Cottingham was not convicted of these murders. The families had agreed that he was already living his life in prison, and it was unnecessary now that they had answers. The facts of this, however, did not come to light until 2020, and the cases were officially closed. In 2017, Cottingham would get another visitor, Jennifer Weiss, the daughter of Dee Dee Gordazzi, who had been given up for adoption and had gone looking for her mother only to find out in 2002 that her mother had been killed in such a horrific way. She had started writing to Cottingham, and she had decided she would try to be his friend and wanted information about her mother and where he had put her head. She figured the best way to earn his trust was to become his friend, and in 2017, she met him face to face after writing to him. Weiss said that she asked how he knew her mother in that first meeting. Jennifer has continued to visit him, and they have become friends. Weiss has talked at length about how Cottingham should confess before it's too late. On March 2021, Detective Ancelotti informed Cottingham that he was retiring and wanted him to give information on one last case before he did. It went back and forth, but on April 14, 2021, in a recorded interview, Cottingham went into detail about the murders of 2 young women. He even remembered their names. When asked why he remembered their names, he said, "Because I was with them for a couple of days." According to the transcript, he also said, he got to know them. Lorraine Kelly was 16 and Mary Ann Pryor was 17. Cottingham had abducted them in Montville while they were on their way to the mall. He drove them to a motel and held them for 2 days, sexually assaulting them before he drowned them in a bathtub. He gave detailed accounts of what he did to the girls and the exact location where their bodies would be left in the woods. On October 27, 2021, he confessed to a judge and was convicted for the murders. In August of 2022, New York officials accepted and corroborated a confession that he had beaten and killed 26-year-old Lorraine McGraw on March 1, 1970. In June 2022, DNA evidence entered by the Nassau County Police on a 54-year-old cold case got a hit for Cottingham. His DNA had been entered into federal databases during his 2010 conviction. The cold case was that of Diane Cusack, a 23-year-old who was killed on February 15, 1968. She was a dance teacher who had just finished class and was going to Long Island Mall to buy new dance shoes. She was found in her car strangled. This is the only case so far that has been tied to Cottingham through DNA. After the Nassau County Police interviewed Cottingham about other cold cases in the area, after a thorough comparison of facts and evidence to his confessions, they were able to connect him to 4 other cold cases. Mary Beth Hines, 21, was found in a creek in Long Island on May 20th, 1972. She'd been strangled. Laverne Moy, 23, was a mother of 2. She was found in the same creek strangled on July 20th, 1972. Sheila Hyman, 33, a mother of 3, was found by her husband in their Long Island home on July 20th, 1973. Her cause of death was blunt force trauma. Her children were at summer camp at the time. For years, her husband had been the prime suspect. Lastly was 18-year-old Maria Neves. She was killed on December 27, 1973. She was found with her hands tied behind her back and wrapped in plastic. On December 5, 2022, from his prison hospital bed, Richard Cottingham was convicted of the murder of Diane Cusack, and he had made a non-prosecution agreement for the other 4 murders. He was sentenced to 25 years running concurrently with the 179 years he is currently serving for his past crimes. Richard Cottingham, now 76 years old, had been known as the Torso Killer, and has been behind bars since his 1980 arrest. He's been convicted or officially confessed to 17 murders of women, and he might still have more victims. He has, in past interviews, stated that he's killed between 85 to 100 women. He will die in prison for his horrific crimes that spanned 13 years. Well, that's going to be it for this video. Thank you so much for sticking around to the end. As always, if you want to support the channel, the easiest way is to hit the like button. You can also subscribe and hit the notification bell so you don't miss my next upload. Other ways to support the channel by joining my Patreon or channel membership, and you'll find links to all that in the description box, plus a few extras. Don't forget to follow me on Instagram, TikTok, and Twitter for more. But with that being said, thank you so much for being here and supporting what I do. It is very much appreciated. That is it for me. I will see you on the next one. Bye for now.